Last of the Few. The Battle of Britain in the words of the pilots who won it. By Max Arthur. Read by Tim Pigott-Smith, with Gareth Armstrong, Sam Kelly, David Shaw Parker, and Patience Tomlinson. During the First World War, the Royal Flying Corps had proved the value of air reconnaissance and bombing raids over the battlefields of France and Belgium, and in return, cities in Britain had come under air attack from German Zeppelin airships. The future of warfare had been changed forever. The aircraft of the Royal Air Force, officially named as such on the 1st of April 1918, were unsophisticated biplanes. Clearly, the aircraft deployed in any future conflict would be very different machines. But in the years after the Great War, aircraft development was slow. The Treaty of Versailles, which dictated the terms of peace, had effectively prevented Germany from developing any armed strength, and the Allies retired to recover from their devastating losses. Sir Hugh Trenchard, a former pilot, became Marshal of the new RAF, and it was his vision that shaped the role of the aeroplane in future conflict. He saw aircraft as an offensive tool, taking the war to the heart of enemy territory with bombing raids against communications, production, and transport centres. So he ordered increased production of bombers. Fighters, he felt, were a sideshow, a presence to boost the morale of the populace as they came under air attack. As politician Stanley Baldwin declared in 1932, "The bomber will always get through." It was therefore fortuitous that Air Marshal Sir Hugh Dowding, Air Member for Research and Development, saw the need for new, faster, and more manoeuvrable fighter aircraft, and plenty of them. Certainly, bomber production should continue, but fighters would be vital to take on incoming bombers and allow their own bomber force to fight on. He insisted that resources be dedicated to developing new fighter aircraft. In 1933, Hitler's Nazi Party came to power in Germany. The build-up of German military power began, at first covertly, and then with no attempt at concealment, and the German threat was a reality. The new German Air Force, the Luftwaffe, was to be equipped with the best aircraft, and in 1935, Hitler commissioned the Messerschmitt 109 fighter. In the meantime, in Britain, in November of the same year, the Hawker Hurricane with its Rolls-Royce Merlin engine made its first flight, but at full speed it was still 30 miles an hour slower than the Me-109. The other British fighter innovation first took to the air in March 1936, Reginald Mitchell's Supermarine Spitfire. At last there was a fighter to challenge the Me-109, and in 1938, first Hurricanes and then Spitfires started to be delivered to the squadrons. All this would still be no defence against a determined invasion attempt. Dowding knew that he would need to put in place an advance warning system which would allow his fighters time to take off, gain the height they needed for effective attacks, and confront the enemy before the bombers could drop their loads. This new detection system, radar, was developed, and 22 chain-home stations were built along the south coast, with 30 lesser chain-home low stations in support. And this, with the new Hurricane and Spitfire fighters, would be the technology on which Dowding would base his defence of Britain against invasion. Learning to fly and joining up. Flying was new, exciting, inspiring, and following the First World War, a generation of boys was growing up with pilots as their role models and heroes. For many, born among the more affluent classes, flying was the ultimate goal, and one which could be achieved by joining flying clubs or the new Auxiliary Air Force. The AAF squadrons were created to reinforce local squadrons. On the other hand, there was the RAF Volunteer Reserve, created in 1936 to support the regular Air Force. The volunteers, aged 18 to 25, were paid a retainer of £25 a year and trained at weekends.